Okay, I'm going to say this once. We really have a time issue here, so we need to get started immediately. So take your seats. We're going to get started. To the members of the jury, are members that you've already seen before: Sylvain Caron, Alice Bernard, Virginie Dutoit. I haven't changed, but the teams in front of me have, and so has the motion. The motion, the final motion tonight, is going to be that this House believes America has no culture. Thank you. Proposing it will be the team from Princeton University. Opposing will be the team from the University of Paris 2, Assas. All right, and I will introduce you as you come in. So we're going to start with the first speaker, the Prime Minister from the opposition, Matt Saunders.
Well, I would like to thank you all, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Timer, the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, both teams, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, for welcoming us to Paris across from the pond in America. We're really quite excited to be here. And I need to thank you for one experience that I had. It was an experience I'll never forget that I had yesterday. I walked into the German ambassador's home. I saw that bust of Napoleon, the gilded walls, and I said, wow, this is culture. After being sheltered in the United States my whole life, thank you for showing me what real culture is. This evening, we offer you the following motion. This House believes that America has no culture. We would like to define exactly what we mean by this. According to the University of Minnesota's Intercultural Studies Project, which compiled several sources on culture to create a uniform definition, culture is defined as, and I quote, the shared patterns of behaviors, interactions, and beliefs that are learned through a process of socialization. These shared patterns identify the members of a culture group while also distinguishing those of another group, and I end quote. It sounds complicated, but it's actually quite reasonable. A culture is something that unifies a group within itself and distinguishes it from other groups. So there are a few prerequisites America must meet in order to have a culture. This culture, one, overwhelmingly must separate America from other nations through significant differences. Just because we call your French fries freedom fries doesn't mean our culture is that different. Number two, our culture must largely transcend regional and state differences to promote a unique national identity. And number three, this culture must largely transcend ethnic differences. Failing to meet any of these would mean that America has no culture. So tonight we'd like to focus on America's unique history to determine why it does not have a culture. America is unlike other countries, and not just because we have Herman Cain and Sarah Palin. At no point in our history has America ever been comprised of one people. From the very beginning, people from all over the world migrated to America, bringing their individual cultures with them. They tell us in elementary school that all of these cultures melted together. Let's remember, these are the same people who believe in the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. Historian David Hackett Fisher argues that 4 distinct groups of settlers from Britain and Ireland arrived in the United States in the 17th century, and that from the beginning of America as a nation, these groups segregated, forming their own ideals and spreading into different regions in the US, the Puritans to the north, the Quakers to the west, Anglicans to the south. And then we have the 19th century where Germans and Irishmen came in droves. They didn't get along, and they didn't get along with the Anglos already in America. So this led to even more self-segregation and the maintenance of individual cultures. From the founding of our nation, not now, and for over 90 years, the Civil War, there were at least 2 regional sects divided on the question of slavery, pitted against each other in a bloody war. Slavery created 2 very different worlds. The first, and I'll take you in a minute, was one that was industrialized and predicated on freedom. The other, which, like America today, was lagging behind the world in morality. But you disagree?
I do disagree. Doesn't the fact that they interact, they have wars, they discuss, doesn't that mean they create a unified culture, that they talk together? Do these groups not interact?
Yeah. Interaction does not imply culture at all. I interact with the French, and I am very, very different from the French. I mean, look at how I dress. I am not well dressed. I don't look like the French. But let's be honest. But get back to our definition. we need to be regionally different and distinct, which we're not. But at the end of the day, the evolution of the United States from different experiences in different regions means that there are at least 3 or more United States cultures, and we'll identify for those for you today. No 2 states, no 2 regional subcultures, and no 2 very good-looking American college students can be seen as part of one American culture. America really never had a unifying culture to begin with. But this new fad, no, I'm not talking about Justin Bieber, I'm talking about globalization. It has ensured that our world will continue to be flat. And as Thomas Friedman said in his book, The World is Flat, you really cannot see that this world is getting flatter, you're not paying attention. Am I proud that the American mortgage crisis brought down the whole economy? Well, maybe a little bit. But a flat world means that America does not operate within itself anymore. Anything that once might have been considered American culture is now not American, but global. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by some fantastic debaters. Not right now. Connor is going to come up, and he's going to talk about regionalism in the United States. He's going to show you that each region in the United States has its own culture, and that they can't be compounded into one, just as France and Europe and England cannot be seen as one European culture. Connor will show you how New York and Texas can't be one culture. I'm in protected time, I believe. Charlotte is then going to develop our point about globalization and how a flat world makes it impossible for the U.S. to form a unique culture. If U.S. and regionalism have prevented the creation of a distinctly American culture, globalism has ensured it. Brian's going to talk about ethnic diversity in our society, and to prove it, we brought 3 white people and 2 Asians. Finally, Aaron is going to summarize our points. I want to end on one point to prove the lack of American culture. A poem. Roses are red, violets are blue, Americans ain't got no culture.